This content is brought to you by BEC Financial Technologies, developing and operating IT for Danish banks.
Hi, hello, bonjour, dobry wieczór. Słuchajcie, sorry, you have English speakers. I need to turn my mind, okay. Dears, I have prepared for you the presentation titled Be Fast, Be Smart, Be like Business Rules Engine. I'll show you what's the new functionality in Salesforce ecosystem. I'll show you what we can do, what we cannot. But my main point is to inspire you, to show you the possibilities of it. You already met this Stanisław, and as Stanisław mentioned, he has 5 years of experience, several certificates. Well, I don't. But first of all, I would like you to be familiar with me. So instead of certificates, my years, I want you to remember me as the owner of the cutest spanner in the world. I'm also the daily matcha drinker. I don't have one with me today because my train was delayed. And I'm trying to graduate for Polish-Japanese Academy of Information of Technology. And yeah, it's a Polish academy, but I don't speak Japanese yet. So I have a really important question for you. How often do you think something will be a quick change and then turns into a whole new product? Well, I have a situation like that, and I know a person who has exactly the same situation. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's meet our young and brave Salesforce administrator, Stanisław. Well, Stanisław, you see, he's very, very happy in his role as administrator. He loves his job, he loves Salesforce, he just enjoys it. And one day, to Stanisław, come his product owner and came, hey Stanisław, you know what? You know what I got for you? I got a story point, I got a user story. It's really small story, it's one story point. It could be a half, but Scrum Master doesn't allow it, okay? So it's one story point, it's very short, it will be a quick change, we'll do within one day, and then you can go back to your coffee or tea. So obviously, as Stanisław loves his job, he was so happy about this change. Let's make an adjustment in our system. So let's try to understand what's this adjustment about, what's the job of Stanisław is. So currently, in the Stanisław Salesforce, there's an automation on leads object, which is taking lead score, and based on this lead score, we are setting the priority. So it's a really simple automation. How does it work? Well, we have a special table here with the ranges of lead score. And if the numbers within one of those range, the priority is set automatically. That's the table for the small business, because for corporation, we have a different one with different ranges. So we have a kind of matrix for this automation. But it looks pretty simple, right? It's easy to understand. So what is the first thing Stanisław must do? Search how this is implemented currently. So he started searching, and he actually knew that he must change the current ranges to a different one. So he needs to find a solution and change ranges to a different that are specified in the user story. He started searching for the solution, and you know what? He wasn't very happy when he found how this is currently implemented. Because after he found it and opened it, he saw a massive and not really pretty flow. A lot of decisions, a lot of assignment elements, and trying to understand every element of it is just taking time. But you know what? Okay, it's not that bad yet. It could be much worse. It could be like this. I mean, after this, Stanisław would, let's say, rethink his administrator career. So let's go back to our original flow. And we will focus on one of this segment because we have repeated segments. And the segment is containing the decision that's checking the customer type. Is it a small business, a corporation, or some different one? Then, based on lead score, is setting the priority. You remember we have a different lead scores for different customer types. So that's why we have a few decisions for each customer type. And it's looking pretty ugly, to be honest. But I love this case because it's a perfect opportunity for us to implement the business rules engine. So after I showed business rules engine to Stanisław, he was so happy he even brewed himself a tea because after implementing this solution, our same flow looked like that. What are those decisions? Because I cannot see them. Yeah, it's so simple that now I can just stare at it. So it looks pretty, but what's more important, it's work pretty. It's really work fast and smart. Because you see, business rules engine is a way to manage complex rules without code. That's a pretty important thing. Based on that, Stanisław is administrator, not a developer. Let's review how this flow actually changed, how I apply this functionality. So you can see this brand new action. This action is called least priority. And you can say, yeah, Kacper, but for sure this action is invoking some Apex, some code behind. Well, no, it is not, because it's no code solution. It is directly invoking the business rules engine table. And our job is just to provide the input, customer type and lead score. Then this element will return us the value from this lookup table. So we have lead score, we have a customer type, and as the input. And that's how our lookup table looks like. So as you can see, we have one input data column, customer type, with several customer types, corporation, individual, and so on. Then we have a lead score, and that's quite interesting column because it's not just a number, it's a number range, because it was ranges for lead score. And the number range allowing us in business rules engine to put only the below range of our boundary. So we don't have to put two numbers, we have to just put the below and every higher level. And the business rules engine automatically finds one match for our score. And finally, as an output, we have a text priority, low, medium, high, or top. So that's our lookup table. And that's one of the use cases. But imagine that you have to, for example, approve or reject discounts based on some criteria, or maybe assign accounts to sales representative, also based on some complex rules. Or maybe enforce different field validations based on some fields. Or maybe set tax rules that vary by some fields from records. And finally, but not least, add some different pricing to products. That's all of the possibilities that business rules engine can help us. And the help is important word, because sometimes business rules engine, I want to be honest with you, it's not making like the whole work of implementation. The help is important word because it's helping us to implement some functionalities and enhance the possibility. So you know already that business rules engine is a centralized hub for our complex rules. And I want you to show what are the main elements of it. So we have expression set, decision matrices, and decision tables. We'll focus firstly on those two decisions. But actually those two are lookup tables. So you can ask, what's the difference between those two types? So when we create, we are selecting the decision matrix or decision tables, and now we can specify where to use what. So decision matrix is like much simpler. It's just matching one single output for our input, while decision table can make for us some multiple outputs if you give some input. Decision matrix is pretty simple. It doesn't require a lot of time to implement, while decision table is kind of more advanced to implement, but also to maintain. And decision matrix is best for one-to-one rule, but decision table for some complex logic, some eligibility checks, some more advanced rules. So we will try to create firstly decision matrix, and decision matrix is requiring for us like not very much of fields. We're putting a name, least priorities in our case, and then we have already created a version of it. We open the version and it's empty. So we will add a new column. Let's add a new column. We will specify the customer type, the lead score, and the priority as for our flow. And after uploading data, you can upload them from example, from CSV file, or manually, just putting every row separately. So it is already created. We have our input and we have our output data. The last thing about to do is to activate it, and voila, we can use it in our flows or some other processes. And I show you the number range, but there's also a pretty cool functionality for the text ranges. And it's working exactly the same. You have to just put the lower range of our name. So for example, if you have students to assign to some group in university, you just put the first letter, and if I'm Kacper, I don't remember, but probably somewhere there. But Business Rules Engine is searching exactly for one single output. So we have our lookup table configured, and we can now enhance it. Because if we go back, you can see it's not looking pretty good, because we're pretty often the corporation, individual, and so on, so on. If you have like 20 of customer types, it will take a lot of rows to create. So instead of putting every row repeat the same value, we can use something called group key value. While creating a new decision matrix, we can specify the group key, the name of it, and then we can create a few of versions, and each of version will have a different customer type. Let's see how it works. So I will create a new version, and in this version, the group key value is a small business. For different version, we'll have a corporation. So after I create this, we have just 2 columns. We are putting away this customer type column, and now we have just 2. But going higher on our main decision matrix object, you can see that in the related list, there's a few of versions where each of them has a different group key value. And each of them is active. So that means that where you are putting this action to a flow, we have to now provide not a customer type, but the group key value. And the Business Rules Engine will find which version has the same group key value like we provided. So Stanisław was very happy about it because it took us so less time than usual to implement this. And it is pretty easy to understand how it works because, again, it's a no-code. We created a new decision table and we didn't even touch any of code. So now we should switch to decision table, how it works. So firstly, the configuration step is different, and the biggest change is how we can base the data on. Because on the second screen, we can select, do we want to use a Salesforce object or CSV file? And the Salesforce object option is so good for us if we want to use the existing records, for example, of promotions or some permissions. And if you use Salesforce object as data input, you can also set the permissions for users, the end user who will use this decision table, which data they can get. So we can try using Salesforce object in our case. We will base it on the discount object. It is a custom one that I created specifically for this demo. And then we can apply some additional filters. I just apply one filter that the discount must be active. Then we are taking a field from this object that will be our input data, our required input for user. So in my case, from discount, I want to take customer type as customer and customer region. So user must provide those two. And scrolling down, we are selecting the output. The output is a discount amount. And those all fields are from the records. So in our system, let's say we have 100 records of discount. And this decision table will look for matching record or CSV file, if we choose that option. And also we would like to take the ID, for example, to put it in the lookup on our quote, on opportunity. So going to the next, we want to, let's say, filter our results because we would like to give our customers the higher discount they can get. So let's filter it by output order. Let's sort by discount amount and the standing. So the highest amount will be first for our result. And now decision table will show us the preview of our data that's currently in our system. And I just have created 4 records, actually not 100. But yeah, those are actually records because you can see the ID in the last column. And after finish of creation, we have our lookup table done. You can ask, okay, but if I will add a new record to this object, what will happen? Well, then you have to open the decision table and click the magic button, refresh. Then decision table is refreshing all the records that are matching this first filter criteria. I put the criteria on the active, so it must match this filter. If you use the CSV file, it's not available to create a new version, which is a very important step if you are choosing between matrix or table, because in matrix you can create a new version, override the previous one, create a new version, do not stop QAs from testing. But here you have to deactivate, upload data, activate. Or if it's a record, just refresh. And same as for decision matrices, we can use it in our flows, but not only. We can use it also in the Postman, via third action. So we can just share it from some external systems. We can use it in Apex, of course, or we can use it in an Omni Studio if you have in your Salesforce environment. So this is the screen from the integration procedure, and this is from the Omni script. So you know how decision matrix and decision table looks like, how they work. And now we should switch to expression set. Expression set, you can imagine them as some kind of flows. They're really, really familiar to flows. Let's try to create a new expression set. We have one version already created. Let's open it. And this is our configuration screen for expression set. We have a few of elements, and there are just few, because based on what type of expression set you will choose, you will have less or more elements. For example, for pricing, you have much more elements to use. But it will take us twice time to go through them. So we'll go through the shorter list. Stay here. The aggregate is for putting like the condition on our group. Here's, the formula on our group, because you can use the data within this expression set to calculate some other data. You have to put them in aggregate group. Branch is just same thing as decision in flow. Calculation is also a formula. A condition is an element that must be put inside branch to create a condition. Conditional group, you can create just one condition without branch. So we can just go through a single path. Lookup table to get some data from lookup table, and we can add some child expression set. 2 is a max level of expression sets. So let's try to add some lookup table already created. It's called getProductPrice. As input, it will be a product code, and on our output, we expecting product unit price. Then I'll put in the condition in my branch to try and check if the price is greater than 0, because if it's lower, or it's 0, we want to skip. And if it's greater, then we would like to check if there are some discounts. So we will put our customer type and customer region, and as output we'll get an amount. If account will have some discount, we can apply it using our formula. And finally, we can test it. We can use a debug, same as in Flow. We can put some testing variables. So let's say Poland, B2B, and iPhone, and we can see what elements are executed and what are the state of it. So on the last one, on the calculation, you can see the price of $3,000. So expression set are enhancing those lookup tables for much more possibilities, because then you can build the whole process, not just one table in a flow, but then you can use this expression set, and it's instead of putting lookup table to flow, you can build expression set and put this expression set to flow, because this is also an invocable action. So Jan again was very happy about it, because still no-code solution is giving us the opportunity to implement our functionalities much faster. And what's important also is that it's all sitting in one place, in one centralized hub. We don't have to search for it. We don't have to deactivate Flow, then some Apex, and then some other workflows or so on. We can just put our administrator in one business source engine hub, and he will stay here, not forever, of course, and maintain our functionalities. After you implement it, of course, you can put all of those changes to repository, but it's not that happy as it looks like, because at the moment of the presentation of creation, what's available is to download to the repository the configuration, but without data. Yeah, I don't understand why, but yes, the data is a separate manual step. So if you want to go to the higher environment, you have to firstly upload this, deploy it, and then you upload the records or the CSV file. But I think it's still worth it. And the most important part of our presentation, how much does it cost? How much does it cost this beautiful solution? Well, as is it Salesforce, it's hard to say. It depends. It depends, but for our knowledge, it's available in our Enterprise, Unlimited, and Developer editions for clouds that have Business Rules Engine enabled. And we have a knowledge of Industry, Service, and Revenue Cloud for sure to have enabled of this business rules engine. But there's an information that 100,000 of additional calls cost $10,000 a month. How Salesforce does count calls? That's also a pretty good question. I hope you won't ask this to me. So, but basically 100,000 for our business rules engine seems like a pretty big number. Limitations for expression set are that for one version, you can put 150 elements, and I also mentioned that 2 levels are maximum of deep. For a decision matrix, there's max input sets per lookup 200, and there's a max invocations per hour 400,000, max CSV files, and for decision table limits, there's max output values per 5. So if you trying to imagine some really enhanced output, the 5 is a limit. But the input is actually 30, so still good. And max invocations per hour is still a big number, so we don't have to really worry for our limits, if it's some small Salesforce, of course. So what are your next steps? As my recommendation, the first step after the presentation is to check the brand new Trailhead. It's really good for understanding how it works, to try and to see some different use cases. And you can check on your environment by going to the apps if the business rules engine is available, and trying to go to the setup if there's some settings available for business rules engine. It's not actually turning on the business rules engine itself, but that's one of the options to check if it's available in your Salesforce. And hopefully, I mean, lucky for us, in Stanisław Salesforce, it was available, he implemented it, and he was so happy. So now there's the occasion for you, so now go and be smart, like business rules engine, be like Stanisław and his product owner, happy and with really cool solution. And I see that we have still a few minutes of our time. So before questions, I would like you to show the real use cases, because I show you the static slides, but I want you to believe me that it's actually working. So I prepared a flow for you. It is really easy flow. When I press debug, I can see yes, found, and I'm selecting the service. The service will be just one with $100 of price. Let's say we have Emily Platter Street, Warsaw, and we are in Poland. And this flow is just checking if maybe in the country that we are trying to buy the service is some different rate, so maybe we will get a different price. Let's try to check it for Poland. Okay, for Poland, we have actually a 10% of discount, right? It's a 90 of final price. And that's the flow. In our flow, I am checking for each of country, is it Poland? If yes, then we go to assignment element and check the rate. If it's Germany, then and France, so on, so on, so on. And imagine you have to put so much decisions for each country. And you know what I will say next, right? Yes, let's try to change it to use a business rules engine. So our first step is to go to the business rules engine app. We have a lookup tables tab, and let's try to create a new decision matrix. Let's call it our country rate. It will be a standard, and let's save it. Then we can see in the related that there's a version created. When I open it, it's completely empty. So let's add a column that we want to check. The first one will be country. and it will be a text. We have a few of possibilities to check as our data type. And that's our only input, because the second one will be an output. An output will be the current, the percent. Okay, then let's save it. And voila, we have still empty, but at least with columns lookup table. And now I can add a few rows. So let's try with 3. The first one will be Poland, and Poland will have 10% of discount. The Germany will have, let's say, 12. And the France, let's say, will have just 5. Again, save. And voila. Also, I mentioned that we have to move later this data manually to the higher environment, but better for us that we can generate the CSV file from this view. We can generate file and put it on the higher environment. Okay, is it done? Not. It's not, because as you can see, it's not active, so I need to activate it. Let's activate our version. It is now active. I cannot put any more data to it. So let's go back to our flow. Let's go with a new version. And in this new version, we'll completely delete our decision. I will check, refresh the page so the action is actually available in our flow. Okay, so, oh my God, I'm so happy it's deleted. And now it's a time for us to use these lookup tables. I have to just put a name of this lookup table. I call it country rate, so here it is. Let's say that it will be called the same in the flow. And here's a country I need to give. So on my first screen, I put the address element. And on the address, I have a country value. Exactly. Okay, so that's what it looks like. And then we have to go here because there's a formula, calculate price formula. So let's find it and use the correct data. So let's edit it, because now it's taking the price and taking the rate. Rate was the variable that was setting in this decision. You have a lot of assignment elements, but finally I can delete it too. And instead of this rate, I'm just searching for my output from here, output from our country rate. Let's select it. And flows know that there's one output column called rate. So I will select it. And is it, it's of course in not good position. Now, good. Is it, yeah, it's valid, perfect. So that's all. And even to just refactor the whole flow was quick change for us to use Business Rules Engine. Let's try to see if it's working. I will give it this decision for sure. So let's run it, our service. And again, we are on the Amelie plateau in Warsaw and Poland. So let's try and press next. And here it is. The final price to pay is 900. But I was also using the France as our country, and it's 95. Okay, so it's working. Yeah, so that's how we can actually use the Business Rules Engine, and that's one of the use cases. As I mentioned on the beginning of our presentation, the most important thing for me is to inspire you, because you have a lot of different use cases where this Business Rules Engine can be used. So, ladies and gentlemen, that will be all from my side. Thank you very much. And I believe now is time for your questions, if you have any. Do you have any questions to this Business Rules Engine functionality? Oh, I'm so happy I explained this so well. Okay, so no questions. I invite you to my LinkedIn if you want to ask something offline. Maybe you are shy to ask on the public. And if you even ask something, let's say, goofy about Salesforce, you can You can also try to ask me on the LinkedIn. And I believe that will be all from my side. So thank you very much.